Hello, Aries, and welcome to your May forecast. We have some kisses here from Apollo, helping all of us get into a great place this morning. I just want to say what an honor it is to be able to be here for you. I'm going to put this lovely resplendent being down and have a quick chat with you here. So I know that this is really an interesting, challenging time for a lot of us. And I think when I started doing these videos, I never really intended to be doing it during a pandemic. But I think this is where my yoga training will come in handy. What I'm going to try to do today is just be able to pull all of us into a neutral place, help us see everything that's in front of us, and create a sense of calm and try to bring some sense to a lot of the chaos I think a lot of us are feeling. I just want to say, first and foremost, welcome to everybody. I don't care if this is your first time, if you've been here, every single video that I've ever done. I'm so grateful that you're here, that you're present. Hopefully all of you are doing well. And I think now more than ever, just being present in the moment is so important. And so thank you for showing up and working on yourself. I'm going to say this with each of the 12 videos this month. It doesn't matter what sign you are. You're welcome to show up at the beginning and the end. You can stay for the whole video if you'd like to. There's always some great insights that come through. And the way that live videos work is that typically if you show up, there's a message that's going to make sense and pertain to you, because I'm reading not only for the sign, but the people that are present. So I'm here to help all of you. And if you want to show up to all of them. The meditations especially will give us a chance to heal. I try not to repeat. I try to always kind of come up with it on the fly. So we'll see where all of the cards and all the messages take us today, okay? So let me just give you a quick insight on how everything is organized today, and then we'll get started. I want to begin with an introduction. My name is Nicholas Ashbaugh, and every month I show up to give you a roadmap to see what's available to you. One thing that we're going to be focusing on this month in the latter portion is all about perspective, because I think that this is the most important thing that we can kind of access right now. It's kind of like when something stressful happens in your life, how you react to it, it can either make it an opportunity or something that stresses you out. So this month, I'm going to try to find the opportunity in things, the perspective, a different angle to look at it. And that's one of the big gifts that I can give you. Everything that we do in this video can be used for your sun, your rising, and your moon. And if you know other parts of your chart, it will apply to that as well. If you are just only aware of your birth sign, then stick with that, and that's going to give you all the guidance that you need. You can also watch on behalf of somebody in your life that you care about as well. I like to organize it into 4 major parts. We're going to be getting into the psychic portion in just a second here, which is just me connecting with my guides, sharing what I hear, feel, and see with you. And then after that, I expand to the tarot portion, which is also intuitive, but I'll be using, of course, the symbols in the Celtic Cross that I lay out to kind of help us navigate. And then I expand that to look at health, love, and destiny. And then after this, we'll do a quick review of what I talked about. And then I move into the soul path or soul journey, where we're going a little bit deeper beyond just the month that we'll be looking at here, which is May 2020. And I think the soul portion is important right now because it's going to help us look out into the future a little bit and help us with that sort of perspective or perception that I was talking about earlier. All of the videos now are kind of encompassing anywhere between it's about 6 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks, depending on when I read it. But they're a little bit longer than usual in how far they forecast, because we're doing it live and I'm reading for some of the things that are happening now. Just to speak about the fact that it's live, I want to differentiate between what I do and some other readers do. First of all, you can absolutely interact with me, and if you like something that you see, you can give me a super chat, which is just an emoji or a super sticker. You can send me a unicorn or a rainbow or whatever and just say, hey, I love what you're doing. This helps me buy some new cards, and I'm using a couple of decks today, and these are directly from all of those of you that are members or that have contributed. So thank you. You're going to enjoy these. They're really great. So if you want to give back, you can do that, and that's where it goes. I don't do pick a card, and I'm not going to answer questions with that. This is a general reading for everyone in this sign, but your contributions go back into helping me purchase supplies and just show up. So thank you for that. With that being said, I also want to send a quick shout out to Ryan and Maria, who helped me moderate and answer questions while I'm doing this. So thank you guys for showing up and being there with me as well. At the very end, I'm going to give you some additional ways that you can get involved if you would like to, and that includes everything from like booking an appointment to joining me on social media, but there's a lot to talk about, and I know all of you showed up to get that guidance, so let's get into that right now, okay? So this morning, I don't know about you, but I was actually last night I had some intermittent sleep. I was able to sleep through the night, but it took me a while to actually fall asleep because I was getting a lot of information. One of the symbols that came through as I was tuning into your sign was, and I think now it's come back into fashion, so you'll know, like an old LP record with the grooves on it, right? That was popular in the 60s and 70s and now came back. You can find it like Urban Outfitters or something. But the LPs are wonderful instruments, but they don't always last. And one of the things that I remember, because as a kid that, my parents had it, if there was a scratch in it, you couldn't keep listening to the same record. And I feel like we're kind of at a point in our history and our development where the record that we had been playing, which kind of was on repeat for a while, there's a big groove that just came down the center of it. And some of us think that's the end, but remember with LPs, you can flip it over. And that's what my guides were showing me. It's time to change the record. It's time to kind of look at it from another angle. And this is where I was kind of like, flip the script, flip the record, and try something different, because we've heard this, we've done this. You can only repeat it so many times. It's like a song. Sometimes you start to become numb to it. So what's happened now is we've had this cosmic sort of shift where that old pattern, and that's really what, that's how an analog recording works. It's all those little grooves or patterns. Our guides and the universe has kind of put a strike through that and has said to us, like, now let's try something different. So I want to talk a little bit about a card that came to me in the meditation, which is the Fool. And this is like a giant version. I have a jumbo Rider-Waite deck, and it's good for kind of demonstration purposes like this. But with the Fool, who's sometimes misunderstood, it's basically about trying something new script, uncharted territory. I actually really love the Fool. It follows the world. It also is the beginning card. It has the number 0 attached with it. So it's reset, reboot, a new journey. Yes, there could be, this could either be a few inches or a few feet or really deep. We don't know what's ahead of us, but we have to keep moving forward. I think one of the things that we're learning right now is to learn from our mistakes, to try to do better, and then to take the leap of faith, to take the risks. And I think that we're not quite yet in the Fool, but the purpose of this reading is to kind of get us in the direction of that. I think that we're either in the Tower or entering towards Judgment maybe, and then getting towards the world eventually. But this is where the year is taking us ultimately. And that's what my guides were showing me when they were like, take the LP and put the other side. It's time to go to side 2. So it's time for side 2. We're going to figure that out today, what that's going to entail for your sign, but that's really where we're headed. And with the Fool comes hope. It's a new path. It's a reset. And if you were to think of like how an actor would approach something, or if you've ever seen like a Broadway play, or if you're in London, like the West Side or whatever, West End, sometimes you go and you get this little slip of paper in your play bill, and it says this role is being played by someone else. So I feel like some of us are having to recast ourselves in our life, and some of us are just showing up and it's a different show altogether. So part of this is also saying, like, let's just go with the flow of transformation and change. There was, and I think it's in the deck that I'm using today, there's a special version of Death where the person's dancing with it. And it's kind of like we have to dance with transformation. We'll see if it shows up. So basically see, hear, and perceive everything with a new perspective. Perspective is going to be what we focus on when we look at the soul path or soul journey. Again, the Fool came through pretty loud and clear when I was meditating. So let's see what the cards show us now. At this point, I'm going to turn the camera down, lay out the full Celtic Cross, and I'll rejoin you in a second. So just be patient as I do this, and I'll be right back. And I realize we actually need one more card, so I'm going to pull one more here. Another deck. Okay. All right, thanks everybody. So the first card here that we have, which is a catalyst that pulls everything into perspective, says Protection Guardian, drop your shields. The card was reversed, which would actually kind of shift this around a little bit. And what we're seeing right now is that I think that there are two shades of meaning here. We are being asked to take care of our health in a way that we haven't before, which is to basically put up all of these guards, literally wear masks, cut ourselves off, and be in a place where by not kind of letting people into our lives, that's actually how we show them love. The other piece of this, though, is what we're doing today, the virtual, and also the, I would say, the psychic and metaphysical side of this, which is space, distance, walls. They don't hold you back. They actually don't cut us off from one another. Those are just material boundaries around us. So there are two types of shields, and you can let some shields down, which are allowing you to connect with the ones you love. You can open up your heart. You can beam out the love to the planet, something that we do a lot in meditations. You can FaceTime, Zoom, Skype with people that you love. You can do this. So I think it's finding a balance between the protection that's necessary for health, but also allowing for the social part of it to be there. So I was listening the other day to someone on the news say that there's a difference between like physical distancing and then social distancing. And I think that we can still have community. So finding a sense of belonging and community amidst all of these sort of other barriers that we have to put up. So find that balance. And that's really what this card is saying. You can't cut yourself off from what makes you human. So, you know, it's important to still interact, but you can do so remotely, which is how we're all showing up today. So please do take advantage of technology. It's showing up in a way that I dreamt of as a kid because we weren't able to hold things in the palm of our hands and have conversations. Like in the 1980s, you didn't have that. That was science fiction. So we're so blessed that during this really challenging time, technology has allowed us to continue to do business, to connect with people in other countries. The fact that I can even meet all of you here is amazing. So some really important things that we can use with technology to help us be protected, but not be cut off. And I think that's the main message there. The center card is an interesting one, and I'm not surprised. I think we're going to see a lot of 7 of Swords and 5 of Swords. We have the 7 of Swords here. And you'll notice in this one, it's a card where we've got all these sort of sources of information, all these books and texts. I think a lot of us are looking for an understanding, looking for an answer. Why is this happening? What's going on? Also, we're looking at people in our life that maybe aren't showing up the way they need to be. This to me can be a card of accountability. It can also be about choosing what you want to focus your energy on. So let's talk about the 3 different angles that I covered there. I think that whenever there are times of fear or frustration or uncertainty, sometimes we can go into a panic mode where anything and everything, you'll kind of cling on to everything. So I think stay neutral right now and pay attention to the source of what's going on in your life, where this is coming from. So if there's someone in your life that's constantly kind of agitating or says they're going to be there but doesn't show up, or you just get this sixth sense that something is off with them. The 7 of Swords is saying that you're going to be able to see through the illusions, and you're going to be able to see basically the motive. Ask yourself, why is someone doing that? Pick and choose your battles. If it feels like it's not worth it, this person wasn't basically showing up the way they need to, so let them fall away. Sometimes during times that are challenging like this, we will see friendships kind of fall by the wayside, and that's okay. Some of that is a natural sort of clearing and cleansing. It can still be frustrating because a lot of you are putting in your all, but I think that if somebody is walking away from you right now, this isn't the time to sort of try to control them or understand that. Let a natural clearing and cleansing happen. Be discerning about where you choose to listen to and kind of consume news and information. And at the end of the day, there are a few battles that might be worth fighting, but the most important thing is taking care of your personal safety and looking out for the safety of others. So let that other stuff go by the wayside. Crossing that card, we have the 3 of Pentacles. This is really about personal development and about recognition. So for many of you, the work is continuing with the Three of Pentacles. Some of you are still employed. Some of you have decided to learn new things, whether it's literally to go to school or to just decide, you know what, I've always wanted to do X, Y, or Z. Now I'm going to do it. Maybe that's going deeper into your art. Maybe that is picking up a deck of cards and learning how to read, or just picking up a book and finishing something. To me, this is digging in and saying, I've been gifted this time or this distance. Why don't I take advantage of it and do something exciting? And that's really what the Three of Pentacles is here. And that's why we see sort of like this magical arrow moving around it. You can go whatever direction you want with the Three of Pentacles. So invest wisely, and it's a resource of time and energy that's really coming through with this. Queen of Pentacles in the deep past. To me, this is the universal mother card of the deck. Queen and King of Pentacles can often show mothers and fathers. So some of you are at a point right now where it is about taking care of yourself and improving relationships with parents or with people in your life that you truly love. This is where the investment of time and energy should go. So personal development, family, healing, and also taking care of your house, home, resources, self. I'm not surprised to see this here in the deep past. And then the Emperor card showing a desire to try to control and reign over all of these things. I think the important thing when you are in a period where there is so much changing and so much shifting, it's to really decide, what can I control? Because I can't control what other people are doing. I can't control something that we don't know anything about, but I can definitely manage my resources, my time, my reaction to this. So you can very much be the Emperor. And this is the one time where I think it's good that we have so many court cards. This is about staying put. This is about sitting, about staying home. So this is house and home. This is controlling yourself, not trying to control others. That would be Emperor or Empress in reverse. So I think both of these cards yield really good things for you. And they also show me you have the power to weather storms. This is someone that is resourceful, that can touch things, and it's like the Midas touch. This is one of the most fertile cards in the deck. This is a card of being able to take something and make it last, make it work. One thing that I'll say when I see a card like this, be careful if you're not trying to get pregnant, because this can also show a beginning of families too. All right. The crowning card is what a lot of us are dealing with, which is difficulty in sleeping and maybe anxiety over not being able to control things. It's the Nine of Swords. And I think that with the Nine of Swords, you can either go down the path of the unknown or the uncertain, or you can embrace the opportunistic energy, which we were talking about earlier, which is the Fool, new beginnings, reset, flipping that LP to see what side two has to yield. So I think that's really what's at your doorstep right now, is focus on the unknown or focus on the opportunities that come through that void of not being sure of what's next. Emotional health often gets overlooked during this. We always talk about covering your face, eating right, sleeping enough, et cetera, et cetera. I think the most important thing this month for your sign is emotional health. So King of Cups is one of the highest cards that I can get when we're talking about emotions. The reversal of this can show a sort of challenge in trying to rein those emotions in. I think the most important thing that I can give you as a resource for this is to try to find an outlet. For some of you, that might be, finding some sort of a video on YouTube and exercising. For some of you, it's music. That's why I got the LP metaphor. For others of you, there may be a need for you to reach out to somebody. And so if you need a resource, a psychiatrist, psychologist, or a help hotline, take advantage of that right now. There's a lot of great free resources out there. And showing up here and kind of like looking through things and trying to figure stuff out, I think that's important too. Meditation, all of these things. But I think you need an outlet. And the more sort of time that we're spending in isolation, the more things like that can kind of get exacerbated. So you need to find a way to channel it that works for you. And there's no right or wrong way, but I do see emotional energy being the one card so far that's out of control, or that's in reverse, because all the other ones have been upright. The Seven of Swords at the center, I'm actually happy to see that it's reversed, because it's showing that you're walking away from relationships that might not be suiting you, or habits of not showing up the way you need to. So that's a good thing. But this card, I'd rather see upright. So I would say find a way to get that energy out, and find a way to sort of get back into neutral. With the Ten of Wands in reverse, the Ten of Wands usually shows someone walking up a hill towards a new destination, carrying a load on their back, but getting ready to let it go. A lot of times this can come through when someone's ready to move, to change jobs. There might be a lot of travel, but there's this period of getting ready for something new. For most of us, that's been put on hold. It's interesting that we see like a crown of antlers on this person, and we have all these different crystals that would kind of be weighing this person down. Whenever the card's reversed, it is about releasing things. So for me, 10 of Wands in reverse is about letting go of a path, because normally you see someone walking down that path. So I feel like for some of us, we had everything mapped out this year, right? I'm going to do this, then I'm going to do this, and then I have, maybe for some of you, you're having some sort of a party or an engagement or wedding, and all this stuff was planned. And now the timeline has shifted. And the 10 of Wands in reverse is about not holding on to the old timeline, because now we have to embrace the energy of the Fool, which is a reset. So I think that if you can make peace with the ambiguity, with the uncertainty, and think, I'm supported, I'm going to be pushed in the right direction, and the timelines can shift again and can speed up. Right now, they've slowed down or stopped completely. So it's necessary to be present, to observe, to come up with a plan B, C, D, F, like kind of think forward into the future and not focus on why this one's stuck. Because the truth of the matter is we can't control the fact that it is stuck, but we can shift our energy and start to pull in new threads of opportunity in the future. I always kind of go back to the idea that the metaphysical dominoes, they don't go from here to the future. You see where it's at in the future, and they work towards you. So if you've ever played a game of dominoes, there are all those little things that you line up. They're like little chips, right? And then when you hit them, you can kind of see this cool pattern. You can Google it or YouTube it, and you'll see it. So that's kind of what we're talking about. Is I want you to find a new vision of where you're going to be in the future and reset things a little bit. The 10 of Wands in reverse also just shows delays, but not a permanent sort of diversion from that. So you just have to think of a new path that's going to be a little bit more winding, and it may not happen in the way that you want or the time that you want, but the universe rarely gives us that. So we just have to sort of be open and work with it. And realize, just like this guy with all the antenna, think of that as your psychic ability to tune in. There's more than one path. There's more than one way. There's more than one thing that you can be in this lifetime. So open that up and think, what else is coming through? This is a good time to channel and figure things out. Looking now at the environment, there's an interesting sort of kind of like polar opposite that we see here. At the center is the opportunity, the 3 of Pentacles. But then when we look in the environment, we have 3 of Swords in reverse. And if we look at this 3 of Swords, I've got to pull this deck a little closer because the pictures are dense. It's harder to see the imagery. But you can notice that there's clutter in this 3 of Swords. So the reversal of this is saying clean things up. Clean everything up in your environment. It's interesting because that's what I was doing yesterday. I was in the kitchen going through and cleaning up all the closets. I was in the kind of going where I keep all of my laundry and detergent and other stuff. I was going through and cleaning all of that up as well. And I was finding things that I forgot that I had. I was getting rid of things that I didn't. And when I was done, the energy of my space felt differently. So some of you might do spring cleaning like that, whether it's fall, winter, or spring, it doesn't matter. Just do cleaning in your house. For the rest of you, this could be more symbolic. We talked about relationships. You might be clearing out some relationships that it's time to walk away from. They're not suiting you anymore. For some of you, you're being forced to look at a new way to do business. Even if you're still working, you're not working in the same way that you were. Every single industry is being affected across the globe, across the board. So this is a time to think outside of the box, which is why we have all of those crystals on this guy's head. You've got to look at other ways, and it will open up a chance for you to sort of have research development and breakthroughs. You can have breakthroughs in this month. But in order to do that, you've got to clear the clutter and get rid of the things that are clogging up everything. And I think for some of us, there's this feeling of, how do I get on top of all of this? So take some time and just clear and clean and plan and put a paper to pencil, or pencil to paper rather, and to kind of like get your thoughts out. I think that's going to be really, really important. And then, of course, some of you are dealing with loss and tragedy. We can't skip over 3 of Swords means sadness. And for some of you, there's this feeling, and it's completely normal. I think we're going through the states of grief, and I'm not a psychologist, so I don't know all of them, but I know that, there's denial. That's one of them. There's anger. And acceptance is way down the line. So I think for some of you, there's this feeling that I've been cheated of an opportunity, or I've lost someone and they were taken away. This is a card that we sometimes see with like a thief or with stealing. And this is a card of feeling like it's just not right. It's not okay. And you know what? It's okay to feel that way. I think that's normal. If something's taken from you, this is where I think some of you have to find a way to deal with the grief that's appropriate for you. And I think that maybe I'm one of the few readers. I don't feel like you have to fast forward through things like that, because there's no expiration date on grieving, and there's no correct way to do it. And I think the important thing is to know that you are loved, you are supported, you are not unique in what you're going through. And I think when you find someone that can help you understand that and help you deal with it, give you the tools, that's going to be key. Just know that if you are dealing with loss of a loved one, or if you're sick and you're angry because you're sick, I care about you. Everyone here cares about you. And during the meditation, we'll try to pull some healing energy in. For those of you that are in pain or that are grieving something, and I think there are a lot of you that could be grieving the loss of a job, the loss of a loved one, the loss of some sort of plan in the future that you feel has been sort of snatched away. So we'll work with that. It's valid. And I think that as we look at health, wealth, love, and destiny, we'll see other things that you can do. And definitely when we look at the soul path at the end, there might be something that is a silver lining. But right now I'm going to focus on what's in front of me. This temperance card is really interesting. And by the way, this is showing up in hopes, fears, and opportunity. This temperance card is very much like the Two of Pentacles, which to me is about balance. Normally you would see temperance sort of putting one foot in the water, one foot on the ground. This particular temperance almost has an angelic energy around it. And it's showing you that you have the ability to find a way to bring things back into balance. And also the message that I'm getting is that, it's like there are seasons, there are times, there are sort of patterns that are happening. So these things periodically through our history happen. And this is one of those sort of patterns. It's not going to end all things, but it is going to kind of create a shift. Like our planet has seen many sort of cataclysmic events. We had one where kind of, with the dinosaurs, one entire species was wiped out, but then look what it gave rise to. We wouldn't be here if that didn't happen. So we don't know what's going to come in the wake of this, but we could be optimistic that there could be a better way of living, a better way of thinking, a healthier sort of approach to things that is on the other side of that rainbow. But there's a storm we have to get through first, and I'm here to try to help you navigate through that. So try to stay calm, try to be observant, try to be do whatever you can to, again, channel out some of that energy that could be bringing you more into the turbulence and not allowing you to maybe see the lighthouse at the end of this storm. So you'll be able to manage this, but you need to find the neutral mind. So stick around for meditation. I'll try to help you with that then. I do see a little bit of a light at the end of the tunnel here. We have the Knight of Cups in the upright position. So it does look like for some of you, there might be someone in your life whom you can depend on, who you can go out and say, I need some help. And there may be someone right around the corner that's ready to assist you. Notice also that this knight is coming up out of the water. So everything has a time and a period. Everything will come to pass. Just know that I'm here for you. You have some great energy this month of being able to manage, develop, make the most of the situation. So let's look at the expanded forecast and let's see how we can get a little bit deeper into health, wealth, love, and destiny, which I think will help all of you. Starting with health, for me, health is not just about your body. I was talking about this protection guardian card that we were looking at and the sort of two sides of this, which is you can't cut yourself, you can't cut the heart space off. You have to be able to still feel connected. So I think that's really important to understand for like mind, body, and spirit health. For this month, we have a very esoteric message coming through for health, and it's about ascension. It said, move into your true self, rise above the darkness, the light is there. So I think it's really important to stay informed. I think it's very important to be realistic. I also think that there are certain things in the universe that science, religion, and humankind hasn't been able to sort of grapple with. There is a greater energy, a greater power, something more divine out there. This is a time to tap into your own divinity, to kind of go higher energetically than you've ever gone before. You have to survive. And I know that I've been blessed where I'm able to kind of tap into angelic healing. And if you need help, ask for that. I'll bring in Raphael today to help with healing. But know that if you don't have this Knight of Cups in your life, you do have it in the etheric realm, in the ascended masters and the angels. By the way, one thing when I mention angels, it doesn't have to be Judeo-Christian. These are ancient beings which may be assigned a certain name, but they may have the same function in different religions. So what I see as death may be like Shiva, or maybe there's all these different. So go to what your relation to some of these are. So if you have a healing deity in your religion, you can go to that. You can go to Ganesha, for instance, when we do the meditation, because it removes obstacles. So whatever feels good to you, it's fine. Call on that energy, and just know it's available to you now as well, okay? And it is important to go beyond the physical right now. We have to tap in and go higher. And as I look at the cards, just generally speaking for you, I would say your sleep patterns are what I see. It's at the crowning position of the spread. So because many of you now no longer go to an office, or maybe you're pulling extra shifts if you're in any of the industries that are being sort of taxed out. So for those of you that are first responders that are, in a hospital, are working hours at, the drugstore or the supermarket, and delivery people that are taking care of us. And by the way, don't chastise me if I forgot something. I'm trying to go through it in my head. But every single industry that is doing extra, by the way, thank you. But if you're doing that, either you're working too much and not sleeping enough, or you don't have a schedule anymore and you might be Netflixing all night, if that can be put into a verb. I just made it one. Then you need to sort of set a bedtime and a wake time. I think the more consistent you can get with sleep and wake, the better, okay? And if you can't control it, then do what you can to take those power naps and really get some sense of personal care, because your natural defenses are what are going to keep you free of any sort of virus or infection. So sleep is essential. Make sure you're getting it. That's the main message coming through for health. All right, let's look now at wealth. This makes sense. Many of you feel like you are at a low, or that you've hit some sort of place where you didn't feel you would be. So this says rock bottom, but can you see that it's actually like, you could flip this card and you could take it into a different direction. So a lot of times, this was the LP that they were showing me, but this is a different version of it. So it's time to find a different groove. It reminds me of that 80s movie about Stella. But anyway, you're gonna get your groove back in a different way. We're not talking about that kind of groove. We're talking about finding a way to feel good about yourself, get back on track with your life, and find a sense of being able to be in control again. So right now, control has been taken away from many of us. We feel like we're at rock bottom. We are uncertain about the future. And even if we are working, we're feeling like we're at risk. And so I think for many of you, it's thinking ahead, thinking about what's next. So you're going to trace or create a new sort of path in your life. And I want you to kind of be the inventor, be the creator of the maze. I talked a long time ago in one of the signs about Ariadne in Inception. So you're creating the path. It can be as complicated as you want, or it can be as simple as you want. So I think now it's time to kind of dream a new future, dream a new way to do this. And if you have hit rock bottom, reach out for help. Know that you're not alone. There's a lot of people going through this, and together we're all kind of working through to figure it out. So I can acknowledge the energy there that's saying it's time to reset. It's time to start again. And for some of you, that means that you can't go back into the same job. So if you were a CEO of a really big company and the company is not going to emerge from this, or is coming through in a different way, or your role has been eliminated, there may not be as many CEO positions. So that means trying something new. If you were in an industry that's been hard hit, whether it's food or some of the stores out there that sell clothing and luxury goods, that may not come back as fast. So this is about the fool going through and deciding, all right, I'm not going to, this is showing a dead end. So you're going to have to like go the other direction. So if we were to kind of imagine that we could walk up the wall and go the other direction, that's what's happening. You're going some other place, uncharted territory that you haven't been before. So try something new and see this as a chance to give yourself permission. There's no risk of failure, because for some of you, you have to reinvent yourself. So I think that that's going to be really important. This is exciting on some levels, because I think the last time some of us were given a chance to dream was when we were kids. Like, what do you want to do when you grow up? Well, now I'm asking you, what are you going to do when this is all finished? What are you going to do next? And again, if you're in an industry that isn't affected, you still have that opportunity to think, is this what I wanted? Like, is this what I signed up for? And if it is, The rock bottom can also be, how can you support people in your life that feel like this is going on to them? So one way, shape, or form, many of us feel like this isn't what we thought it would be. So be there for one another, be kind. I think that's another thing that's just a universal message. Be kind, be present, and try to go to a higher space energetically if you can. All right, health and wealth. Now we're looking at love. So this card is reversed, but it's really important because it goes into what I was just talking about. The caption on it says, dream a little. And notice this sort of beautiful energy coming out of the heart space, which is your dreams or your imagination can bring you into a new sort of kind of groove on an album here. You're creating something new from that dream. So not only is this going to help you with what's next in business and in life, but it's also going to help you with being able to call in new love or to be able to heal existing relationships. And let's talk about relationships right now. For those of you that might be stuck with somebody right now, and that's kind of how it's coming through to me, we have highly emotional and highly sensitive. And so for some of you, this, when I get two of the same suit, it can often indicate a love relationship or a dynamic where, you know, it could just be friends or roommates. But what I see here is an imbalance. We want both of these cards in the upright position. So if someone in your life is highly sensitive, telling them to not be sensitive will actually make them more agitated. And I think the important thing for you is to kind of validate the concerns the same way I can kind of validate that it's okay to be upset. I can't help you, but I can listen to you. And I can be a sounding board if you want ideas. I don't know about you, but a lot of times for me, it's just helpful to call up a friend or a family member and say, I just need to talk, or let me talk this through. And a lot of times I come up with a solution. So maybe that's all they need, is just someone to listen, not to fix, not to judge, not to tell them to be less emotional. And once they receive that, then they have that sort of temperance energy and they're back into a neutral space. So if you need it, ask for it. If someone else needs it, ask for it. Set the expectation that I'm not looking for advice. I'm just looking for empathy or presence, you being present here in this energy. And I think that there's stress going on. So find a way in relationships to not sort of get angry at each other because you're both in a sort of agitated state. So that's important. If you're looking for love, this is a tricky time, right? You know, I do see the Knight of Cups there in the outcome, but usually for me, outcome can indicate not just necessarily this month. It could be 2 to 3 months in the future. And it could also, there could be a distance component. So for some of you, this might be someone that lives in another state or another city. So just take your time with this. Temperance is saying don't do anything too fast. So if you're looking for new love, just realize that this is a challenging time. If it's important, it will wait, it will last. If it's not, again, you want to trust your instincts here, because the Seven of Swords can be someone that says something but does another thing. So be discerning. And I think really just focus on yourself and your existing relationships right now. That's where it wants to be. You can start to focus on manifesting new things in your life. The energy of the heart can go into creation. It's an alchemic energy. So I think that's really where our love, our passion wants to be right now. And to that end, when we're looking at destiny, we have the scrying mirror and it says projection. So the interesting thing with a scrying mirror, it's usually, by the way, it would be like an onyx mirror that's like kind of black. It's not going to be a reflection. You look into it and you see things. You see things in the future, but sometimes you project your own reality into that. So realize again that you are the creator. I say that sometimes, but I think it's worth mentioning. You're your own actor, you're your own director and producer and writer. So right now you're in uncharted territory and you can see what you want to see in this situation. If you're angry, you can see sort of things that support that. If you're fearful, you'll see that. If you feel like, you know, this is really exciting and there's opportunities, all of that can be there. So really tune into the higher frequencies if you can. To get there, you're going to have to acknowledge the triggers and fix the triggers first. So if you're angry, if you're afraid, if you're sad, focus on healing that first, and then you'll start to see things reveal themselves that maybe weren't there at first glance. The other thing that I see with the scrying mirror is just because you don't see it doesn't mean it's not there, which means just because there doesn't feel like there's a blessing or an opportunity, it doesn't mean that one isn't present. Think again of like Four of Cups, right? A lot of times you see the person sitting like this, what's in front of him is there. It's very much like the scientists sometimes. I love scientists, though. They find new things. And I love astronomers, not just astrologers, because they help us understand things in the universe. But there has to be sort of a dream, a curiosity, an open-mindedness to that. Otherwise, you can't discover new things. So think of yourself kind of like that scientist, or maybe even like somebody that's exploring outer space for the first time. And we understand some things, but we're going to be surprised by other things. So leave room for an element of surprise in a positive way, not just always bad news, but maybe something beautiful can happen as well. So there you go. Let's go ahead now and review what we've talked about, and then we'll go into the soul portion, which can maybe help us see some of the silver lining, okay? I'm going to turn the camera down for a second, and we'll review everything here. I talked quite a bit about being able to flip the record or flip the perspective, talking about an old-fashioned album or LP. We were also talking about the grooves in that album. And so you're going to maybe imagine that you're recording something new, creating a brand new cycle, or a brand new sort of area where you're going to go. We saw a couple of these here too. So take a new path, take a risk, take a leap of faith. And then this is, as I said, you have more control in this than you think. You write, you direct, you act in this. So in this uncharted territory, you get to sort of create a new role and act in a way that you haven't before, which can be fun. Try to look at everything through a different mirror or through a different perspective. And that's what we were really seeing with the scrying mirror here, which is it's not absolutely a projection of what is, it can be what can be, kind of like what we saw in is it Snow White, Mirror, Mirror on the Wall? But you're looking through that mirror that isn't showing you what is now, it's showing you a portal of what could be. So I think if you focus in on that, that's going to be really key. All right, we have this beautiful card showing the two sides of protection here. So it says drop your shield, but what we also see with the reversal of this is we'll keep some of the shields up. So I think when it comes to putting the mask on, being careful about distancing, that's great. But I do think you can lower the shield when it comes to feeling vulnerable, letting people know that it's difficult and you understand that we're in this together. Empathy basically is what this card is saying. So protect your health, but keep your heart open. We can't shut ourselves off completely. Seven of Swords. Trust people when they show up. Like if they show that they have something that you don't like, don't think, well, maybe I can change that in them. If someone says who they are, listen to that. If someone shows up and they aren't kind of basically coming through the way that they need to, know that this is a gift, move on, cut your losses on that. Instead, reinvest your time and energy into things that you love, knowing that this Three of Pentacles energy we see here is going to be a complete return. So if you decide to learn something that you haven't learned before, again, go to school or pick up a new sort of hobby, which is going to help you with your emotions, that's perfect. This is going to be well worth the time and energy and the investment. You're more resourceful than you think. This is going to be important right now. You have the ability to rein in what's going on in your life. You can't control everyone else, though. It's really important right now to have some sort of a sense of what you're doing each day, a schedule, a procedure. And even if you're working from home, you know, just like me, I set up the whole month ahead so you guys know when to find me. Otherwise, it would be kind of chaotic. So I see clients at certain times. I do videos at certain times. I go to sleep at a certain time. That habit in my life allows me to have structure. Set the habit up. It's going to help you sleep better. It will help you also feel like you're controlling certain things. You can control your mind. You can control your actions. You can't control others around you, though. You can influence them, but you can't control them completely. It's really important to have an outlet because I see a lot of energy building up. It could be excitement. It could be anxiety. It could be passion. It could just be you going stir crazy. Find a way to channel that so that you feel like you can basically breathe and see things correctly. Things are delayed, but not like for some of you, there's a delay, but it's not going to be forever delayed. So just realize if there's something that you wanted to do, for instance, like a wedding, the date may be moved, but you still have the person you love in your life. So there's a gift and a blessing in that. For some of you, it's saying, don't be so stuck on one path. If you were doing something and you didn't like it, open yourself up to trying something new. The pause that you're being given right now with the 10 of Wands in reverse is a chance for you to rethink and also to receive new sort of inspiration. I get the sort of energy of research and development. And that's what's going on in your life, a chance to start anew. It's important to process feelings of anger, betrayal, hurt. Because if I look at these three cards, we have that feeling of betrayal, of being sad, of being hurt. So for those of you that feel like something was taken, stolen, or done to you that isn't right, acknowledge that, work through it, ask for help. It's important. But know that you are going to be able to work through this and make something of it. How you do that is up to you, and what you do with that is also up to you. But notice that the Three of Pentacles is touching a few of these tricky cards, and that gives me hope and faith. Same thing with Temperance and Ten of Wands. So from this feeling of being out of control, we get, well, I could try something new. I'm going to give it a shot, and then there might be a new creative renaissance that's coming through. So that's kind of what the whole spread is setting you up for, is a personal renaissance. And when we look at the soul work in a minute, we'll see where that takes us. When we look at mind, body, and spirit, aka health, we see ascension here, and it says, move into your true self, rise above the darkness, the light is there. Again, you see what you want to see sometimes. So try to see what you can control, what you can manifest, what you can have fun with. Ascend, go higher. Don't kind of be weighted down by other people's fears or anxieties, or even your own anger or pain or hurt. You have to kind of move through that eventually, in your own timing, in your own way. There is an illusion of a dead end here. So it says rock bottom, but what we actually see is there's another path here waiting to be had when you flip the switch here. So just know that a perceived dead end is actually a new beginning. And basically it's like the other side of the world card. So I'm thinking of, I don't know why I'm going to songs and movies. I always do, you know that. But it's in the 90s. Yeah, there was a song called Closing Time, and there was a line in it. What is it? So at the end of every beginning is an end, or something like that. One of you can type it out there. But basically, when we come to the end of something, then it's actually a start. So you could think of this as being an end or a beginning, or both, and it is both. So whenever we lose, we're also making room for things. I've talked in a few readings about the beautiful energy that happens in like a natural fire, where it clears a certain space. It does, you know, things are lost, trees are lost, life is lost, but it also allows new growth to take hold. Certain flowers only grow with the heat of a wildfire. So we have things that are kind of destroying, but there will be things that come through that can then grow in the sort of wake of this destruction. So that's what I see. Okay, so that was health, wealth. So in love, using again your heart to pull you or anchor you into a new direction, and to pull you out of this as well. So creative energy is really, really important. And finally, you see what you want to see. All right, so let's go ahead now and take a look at your past, present, and future influences when it comes to the energy of perception, of having your personal renaissance, if you will. And let's see how you can do it. The band's name was Semisonic. That just came to me. They were like a one-hit wonder, but it was a good song. All right, so past influences. What's coming through? What can either help you or hold you back when it comes to your personal renaissance? How can you look at this from a different perspective? Okay, so we have another portal card here. This is the Four of Wands. The card is reversed, but I want to pull it up right so you can see it. So for some of you, there's this feeling that the people that you could lean on aren't there. Because when I think of Four of Wands, I think of best friends. I think of really strong alliances. I also sometimes even think of a proposal or a wedding. So again, for some of you, there was a date, an announcement, or some sort of something where you would be joining with someone for a project or an endeavor, and it's been taken away or it's been delayed. But this is showing you that you have the energy of creation, and that portal still exists. It's just going to, it's kind of like if we were time travelers, right? When you change one thing in the timeline, everything shifts. So now you just need to look through the portal and think, all right, it's not going to happen here, but I can make it happen here. So I kind of want you to be the strategist. In one of the decks that I have, there is a King of Swords, and he has like a chess board in front of him, and it's kind of like thinking 2 steps ahead. So what happened right now is your opponent just did something, and I don't play chess, obviously. They just made a move, and now whatever you thought you were going to do, you're going to have to reevaluate. And so be that sort of master strategist, open a new portal. What your opponent doesn't know is you're a magician, and you're able to create something new. So stop looking at the old timeline. It doesn't exist. And I think that's so hard for some of us, but I'm going to just break it to you like it is. The old timeline is broken. It's the LP with the scratch on it. Flip it, create a new groove, create a new reality, and go down that path. That's what you have to do to be successful. If you hold on to the old path, you'll get angry, you'll get upset. It'll be the 3 of Swords, it'll be the 7 of Swords. If you become the magician here and decide, okay, I'm gonna just create a new timeline, then the new timeline opens up. So you have to release. 10 of Wands, letting go. 3 of Wands, also reversed, letting go. The sooner you release the timeline, the better. All right, let's see now what's in front of you. That was the challenge, that some of you can't let go of. It's not even the past, it's a potential future. So this is crazy metaphysical stuff. Like, you're looking at what you thought could be, now it has to be something else. So it didn't happen anyway. So there's a new reality that you're creating. All right, so we have the Wheel of Fortune, it's in reverse. I like how this is kind of like an atom here. And one thing to remember with this is that it's kind of moving around, right? So again, with movement, this is a very unusual Wheel of Fortune. So things have been agitated and moved, but the energy of creation is still there. The next year is completely chaotic. We don't know where it's gonna go, but through chaos sometimes is creation. I mention this a lot, but it's also worth kind of talking about again. You know, this solar system that we're in is the result of a supernova. Our sun will not go supernova again. It's going to become a red giant and then fade out into a white dwarf. But there are different areas of like creation and destruction. So stars can go supernova, and when they do supernova, all of those heavy metals and elements and things, that's what created where we're at right now. So the sun coalesced at the center of this, and then it brought order. You are your own sun. It is your job right now to bring order to the chaos in your life. And through that, new opportunities will form. Our planet, this life form that we're inhibiting right now, we're in right now, would not be able to exist if we didn't see the destruction and creation of something new. So see yourself as a solar deity or entity or energy. Bring order from the chaos, and I'll try to work with that in the meditation in a moment. So there's a lot of alchemic energy here. We're going to open a new timeline. You're going to be strong and powerful and magnetically pull in new things. And it's really about the Fool. It's all new. So this is like a new season where, okay, I don't love this show because I feel like they have low frequency energy in some of the choices that they make. But one of the cool things is that they reset the cast. So I watched something on Netflix called Altered Carbon. And in season 2, it's like a completely new cast, because the idea of it, they're playing with the theme of reincarnation, which is, what if you could take your consciousness and put it in a chip and then put it in a new sleeve or body? And so we have these people that could live for thousands and thousands of years. Guess what? It already happens. It's called reincarnation. But anyway, what happens in each life is we come in and we have a new body. And so with that, there's this energy of being able to look at it from a different set of eyes, experience it through a different body. And in doing that, sometimes new things can come through. So imagine now that you could really embark upon that energy of rebirth without having to go through the rebirth. And I think that's what the Wheel of Fortune is saying. You can create, you are you, but not you. So just find the piece of you that you want to keep and let the rest of it shift. All right. It's kind of like Doctor Who, too, to use another one that more people have seen, where the Doctor stays through all the series, but he or she is different in each series. So just know that it's the same thing as reincarnation. People are playing around with that theme of reincarnation. So reincarnate in this life without having to actually die. Reinvent yourself. Then we have the 5 of Swords, which I said I wasn't surprised to see. Usually the 5s and 7s always come together for me, but it's reversed. So 5 of Swords is understanding that you can't actually explain yourself to some people. This is what this is giving you permission to do. Some people will think you're a fool for trying something different or for going down a path that seems authentic to you. So I just want you to go for it. Like, really embrace the first 2 cards that we see here. See what it is you want to create, start to create it. It may seem chaotic or havoc ridden at the beginning, but eventually there'll come some sort of a sense of order to it. And as long as you keep that vision and you can see it, that's what matters. Musicians, artists, people that change the world and try new things, they're always out there on the edge, and people think they're nuts until they're not nuts because they actually made it happen. So we're going to help you make it happen, okay? Let's go ahead and meditate now, okay? For this, just quick note, I'm going to be using sound therapy at the end, which will help us pull into a higher energy. I'd love all of you to stay here if you can, because you're working from home, most of you. So stick around if you can, and it's a free healing. And hopefully with all of us praying, meditating, and focusing together, we can bring in a lot of potential. So if you can stay, I appreciate it. If you just joined, everything that you see will be available immediately after this broadcast ends. And I just want to say thanks for your presence. All right, everybody, please get into a comfortably seated position. If you need to, like I'm going to take a drink of water, do whatever you have to do, get comfortable, and then take a deep breath and close your eyes. And then I'm going to walk you through the meditation. All right. Take a moment and scan your body. Imagine that you have this magical ability to go through and see anything that is blocked, anything that is sick or needs healing, and focus on that using your third eye, using your intuition alone. With the next breath, I want you to see a beautiful solar energy above you, shining down, almost like this beam of light is coming through your crown chakra. And as you breathe, imagine each and every chakra is being lit up and is starting to rotate clockwise, moving in the same sort of synchronicity, not synchronicity, they're all synchronized. And anything that is in a lower frequency is shot out by those chakra systems opening up and lighting up. So let's take a nice deep breath. Inhale. And then on the exhale, allow everything that you don't need or want in your life just to drift away. I want you to now find yourself in a place in nature that you like. For some of you, this might be the forest. For some of you, this might be the beach, or it might even just be your own balcony. Find that space in your life where you feel like you are at peace, away from all of the distractions, the pain, the frustration. All you're really sensing right now is the world around you. So listen first to the sound of the birds, or maybe even the insects around you. Maybe there's crickets if it's evening, or there's a sound of a beautiful mockingjay, blue jay or something like that, a mockingbird in the background. Whatever you hear, focus on the nature first. Hear the sound of the breeze also moving through the trees above you. The gentle sound as each leaf touches the other, and you feel this energy of movement starting to come into your life. I want you to feel that you are connecting with the energy of the wind. And in this moment, plant your feet on the ground, but allow for your spirit, for your energy to be lifted up from your body and travel through the energy of the wind that allows you now to elevate above your current situation, your current energy, your current thought process. And I want you to look at the world around you right now. And amidst all of this sort of chaos, you also see a peace and a calm because we've slowed down. We're no longer hopping on planes, hopping on a train, going in traffic. And one thing that you notice right now is that there is this sense of calm that we may not be paying attention to. You can actually hear the wind blow. You can hear the trees move. You can hear the birds, the insects. You can even hear your own breath back on the porch or back in the forest or on the beach, wherever you may be. Allow your consciousness to go higher than the tops of the trees and go all the way up into the clouds and see the planet for what it is, this beautiful swirling mass of blue and green and white and all of these little dots showing the life on the planet. And you realize what a beautiful sort of experiment you're a part of, and how much power we all have to create our own realities, to help each other. And I want you to feel this sense of cosmic community. Take a moment and look at all the other spirit orbs that are up around the planet and realize that you are not alone. And in this moment, I want to pull our energy into a higher frequency. We're going to probably use the sound bowl twice. So in this moment, I want you to feel that you're connecting with your highest frequency. So focus on the sun, focus on the community of light that you see above the planet. And together, let's not only bring our light higher, but let's beam down some love and healing energy on the planet. Inhale. Exhale and just allow the sound to bring you into a higher frequency. Take a moment and see your energy growing brighter and brighter. And now allow for your higher self to shoot a beam of light into your body, travel back through that light into your body. And I want you to keep this energy that you've created above the planet. And I want you to start to imagine that you have the energy to create the portal that we saw in the first card, and the energy of having that solar energy, which we just created, which is going to attract new things. Through the portal, project an image of what you want in the future. It might be love, it might be wealth, it might simply be health and well-being. It could be a combination of these if you'd like. See that, project it, beam your heart into the portal, staying put in your body, creating this future domino that I've talked about, and do that as I play the singing bowl. The wonderful thing about a wish is it actually allows us to see, create, and release. So allow, just like a birthday wish or any wish in your life, send that out into the ether and know that it has been received. Before we wake up, I'd like to call on Archangel Raphael, or whatever ascended master or deity you would prefer to use in your own respective religion or practice. And please, for those of you that are going to connect with that angel, allow for that energy of healing to come through. Know that you are not alone in this situation. We are all here today. See the light that you've created and feel the healing that you also cascaded onto this planet, knowing that it does make a difference. If we all show up during these readings and for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, try to pull our energy into a higher space and jet out some love to the planet, it does matter, and you do matter. So thank you for being present today. Take a deep breath, give yourself a little bit of a hug. On the exhale, let your arms go, relax your posture and open your eyes, and welcome back. So hopefully this gave you a sense of being able to really create something new in the future and see past today. I think this scrying mirror was ever so important, and that's why it came through in the destiny position. I actually had to go for this deck because I ended up pulling from I changed the order of how I was going to use this. So I think this card called out to all of you. So know that you create your own future. And even if you can't control everything that's going on now, you can control where you're headed next. So thank you so much for everybody that showed up today. I want to take a moment to also let you know other ways that you can get in touch. For anybody, by the way, that has been kind enough to do a super chat or a super sticker, thank you from the bottom of my heart. The way that I normally handle that is once this video is live, I'll call you out in the comments and just say thanks. But know that you did help me buy 2 new decks of cards that I'll be using for all signs this month. If you'd like to get information on everything that's going on, whether it's a reading or a meditation or just what's news and information, you can go to my website. It's nicholasashbaugh.com. You can also figure out how to book a reading if you'd like to from that site. I'd love for you to follow me on social media if you haven't already. So one way that you can do that is by, of course, hitting the like and subscribe. Sometimes people get confused with subscribe and think it costs something. It doesn't. So if you haven't already subscribed, do that, because that'll help you know when I go live. Hit the little bell icon too, because that will let you know through a notification on your phone when the channel's live as well. My username on Facebook, Patreon, and YouTube is the same. It's just Nicholas Ashbaugh. Patreon is a great way to keep in touch because I will periodically put updates there, but it also supports me. So if you want to do something like $1 a month, it makes a big difference. The join button here also does the same thing, but it's a different price point. So pick what works for you and know that, again, that helps support me. I appreciate it. I'm also on Instagram, and it's a slightly different username. It's Nicholas_Ashbaugh. This is great because I'll use stories as a reminder. Same thing on my Facebook page. If you do follow me on Facebook, do it the @NicholasAshbaugh. The other one is personal, and you're not going to get all of the reminders. If you want to follow me on Twitter, it's @Ashbaugh, and I tweet out any of the upcoming readings. So it's, again, a great way to keep in touch. If you're older school and you just want to give back and do a one-time contribution, that's my PayPal address. Thank you, by the way, for those of you that are giving super stickers right now. And so it's just nicholasashbaugh@paypal.me. But you can just go to my website for these links. And I just want to say thank you. This helps me continue to do what I'm doing. And I know that some of you are at a point where all you can do is show up and like and subscribe. And if that's it, that's okay too. Thank you, everybody, for being present, for Maria and for Ryan to help me kind of keep this all organized. Welcome to all the new folks. I hope you show up again for Sun, Rising, and Moon. And feel free to share this with other people as well. And I hope that you enjoyed everything. Sending a lot of love during these times as well. We're going to get through this, okay? Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Wishing you the best now and always. I'll see you again tomorrow. I'll be reading for Taurus. And again, you can go to my social media page for links, or just like and subscribe here and you'll be able to get that link as well. Thanks, guys. See you later.